Hi everybody, today's video is Ra's pretty dense interpretation of how to awaken Kundalini. Now this is a hot button topic in the spiritual community, and I'll give a quick summary on my interpretation of what Ra states, and it all is pretty much aligned with the chakra system. So as we may have guessed from previous videos, the whole idea is that with each chakra moving from south up to the north of the crown, you are having experience that must be first observed and then experienced and then balanced within and fully accepted wholeheartedly, all for the next experience to really take place. And in this case, I like to imagine these experiences as catalysts that present themselves as people, environments, circumstances, and or information. And so with each chakra, the summary is: first, at the root, we have survival-based experiences that must be observed, experienced, balanced, and accepted. And then it's personal identity at the sacral chakra. And then it's social relations in the solar plexus. Then it's universal love with the heart. Then it's all about communication in the throat chakra. Then it's all about universal energies with the third eye. And we're capping it all off with the crown, with it all resolving around sacramental nature of all experience. And so this is a 2-minute segment from Ra, and the second minute is honestly where I found the most benefit, but I'll leave it all here for you all, and I will see you on the next video.
Questioner: what process would be the recommended process for correctly awakening the Kundalini, and of what value would that be? Ra: I am Ra. The metaphor of the coiled serpent being called upwards is vastly appropriate for consideration by your peoples. This is what you are attempting when you seek. There are, as we have stated, great misapprehensions concerning this metaphor and the nature of pursuing its goal. We must generalize and ask that you grasp the fact that this in effect renders far less useful that which we share. However, as each entity is unique, generalities are allowed when communicating for your possible edification. We have two types of energy. We are attempting then, as entities in any true color of this octave, to move the meeting place of inner and outer natures further and further along or upward along the energy centers. The two methods of approaching this with sensible method are: first, the seeding within oneself of those experiences which are attracted to the entity through the South Pole. Each experience will need to be observed, experienced, balanced, accepted, and seated within the individual. As the entity grows in self-acceptance and awareness of catalyst, the location of the comfortable seating of these experiences will rise to the new true color entity. The experience, whatever it may be, will be seated in red ray and considered as to its survival content and so forth. Each experience will be sequentially understood by the growing and seeking mind-body-spirit complex in terms of survival, then in terms of personal identity, then in terms of social relations, then in terms of universal love, then in terms of how the experience may beget free communication, then in terms of how the experience may be linked to universal energies, and finally in terms of the sacramental nature of each experience. Meanwhile, the Creator lies within. In the North Pole, the crown is already upon the head and the entity is potentially a god. This energy is brought into being by the humble and trusting acceptance of this energy through meditation and contemplation of the self and of the Creator. Where these energies meet is where the serpent will have achieved its height. When this uncoiled energy approaches universal love and radiant being, the entity is in a state whereby the harvestability of the entity comes nigh.
Alright, so that was a good amount of information, and I really want to double tap on this idea of experience or catalysts that are presenting as life lessons. And first we must observe, experience, balance, and then accept all that is. And honestly, this could be thought of the purpose of life itself, is to observe different responses that we have within. And so we observe that which is beyond ourselves, affecting our internal state. And we can dig deeper towards the root of our internal state. And with that, we can take in other experiences that perhaps bring different states to arise from within. And the whole purpose of this is to balance ourselves so that ideally nothing can really sway us too far left or too far right, or this way or that way, or to any polar extreme, so that you can fully accept yourself and others and everything, internal and external, for what it is. good, bad, balanced, out of balance, whatever. And from there, you can begin to give. And that is the whole purpose, in my eyes, is that we are balancing ourselves first through survival, the basic life and death duality. And then we're moving on to who is this being that is going through this life and death duality in the personal identity. And then we branch one more magnitude above that with the social relations in the solar plexus. And then once we get to know first the survival, the life and death, ourselves and others, then we have universal love for everyone, including ourselves, unconditionally. And with that, we can communicate our love or our creative expression through the throat chakra. And with this, we are tapping into the universal energies. We can more clearly understand how our communication and everything that's come before that is affecting both our relations with others and the energies that are present in any kind of relationship or interaction or circumstance. And with that, we find balance in giving so that we can receive in equal and opposite ways. And that's honestly where I'm trying to be at every single day. I'm creating these goods and services that are ultimately here to facilitate the success of others, because I recognize that I am benefiting from this process itself. Here I am trying to live from the crown, but I gotta make sure that I'm checking off all the boxes leading up to that. And my challenge is for you to do the exact same. So if you really want to awaken your Kundalini, you can imagine that first you must start from your lowest point. As Ra states, you can imagine the Kundalini as a serpent. And last time I checked, serpents are not here jumping from one spot to the next. So don't you think you can skip one of these chakras or one of these primal root lessons and jump your way up to the top. Take your time. Observe everything as it is. Experience all that you can. Go beyond your comfort zone. And remain balanced in the chaos, in the extremes. And ultimately accept yourself and others for who they are, and find love and sacrifice in it all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.